What's up, people? I'm right here with Nolan Ulm, junior wide receiver at Eastern Washington Eagles. Thank you for being here, man. Looking forward to share a great conversation with you, Nolan.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an honor to be here.
All right, man. So let's just start from the beginning, man. I've been looking at your stuff. Let's dive right into it. What does it mean to make things happen? That's your thing.
Mm,
That's your word. That's your podcast. That's your camp. That's what you're about. We'll get to dive deeper into that. Just generally, right off the top, what does that mean?
man, you know, right off the rips, to me, I always tell people some people make excuses and some people make it happen in life. And so for me, I was raised by a single mother. She had me when I was when she was 18 years old, and we had nothing. Moved out here to Kelowna, 8 hours away from where I was originally born in Edmonton, and she would wake up every single morning. We're in low income housing and our car is barely starting. It's this gray Toyota Corolla. And she would pray for three things, which was meet another man in her life, have a new house, and then ultimately give me more siblings. And all three of those have come to fruition. And so, that was my earliest example of making it happen. And there's so many people that she could have pointed the finger at. She could have blamed people. She could have complained. She could have made excuses, like I said, but excuses are lies. And she knew that it was on her to
Mm,
get us out of that situation and to make things happen in her life. So that's really what it is all about. It's taking the control of your life and realizing that there's so many things and in your life that you can take ownership of. And for the people that are really closest to me, it's about taking complete ownership of your life and complete responsibility, radical responsibility for everything that is happening for you, right? That's like a key belief that we have. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. So that's making it happen in a nutshell right there.
love it, man. Love it, Nolan. And obviously, we'll get to talk about football, but I'm just curious to know, whenever I hear this story and I put football aside for a moment, it seems to me one of your biggest teachers. And in football, we get to be surrounded by great teachers for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Coaches, people. But of your greatest teachers seems to be your mother for me. So even to this day in your football journey and how you approach things, what type of impact do you think that mindset she transferred over to you is having right now?
Yeah, I think it's everything, man. And even back when I was, a little kid, I'm sitting there and I'm seeing her eat 7-layer dip all day just so I can, have good meals. We got, Christmas. She's doing her best to make it as special as she can with the situation we're in, and she's working 3 jobs. Like that definitely, I grew up and I didn't realize how much that resonated with me and definitely inspired me and gave me an example of what, work ethic is. In the Matrix, right? There's Neo, and he's the one. And every single family has the one that changes it all, that changes the patterns, these habits, or cycles, right, of generations before them. And my mom broke the cycle, and so it really, I feel like it's my duty to go be the best that I can be every single day. And she really gave me a framework too for a lot of the stuff that I do with athletes and with the people around me that I'm really close with and myself, which is the 3 outcome method, right? Having those 3 pillars that you're chasing, whether that's in a given year, 90 days, but those 3 things, right? It was her big vision, her overarching vision of having, a new husband, a beautiful house to put me in, and then having those future siblings for me. And they're all come to fruition. I got 2 little brothers, 7 and 8 years old. So it's crazy, right? Like, so that's really, that's a huge part of me and the way that I approach life now.
Mm. Who are you playing for? Seems to me you're definitely playing for them. You're playing for you. What else are you playing this game for, ultimately?
What a great question, man. I, a lot of it is, there's been a lot of tough times here, and I know there's a ton of people that are looking to me, or even when they weren't looking to me, I knew that they would be looking to me. And
Mm,
it was on me to be able to push through those hard times and deal with those things and show people what was possible. That was my whole goal with all this was I wanted to show people what was possible. So many people told me I couldn't do it. Like I sucked. I was not good. I'm dropping passes. I wasn't fast. I couldn't move. Wasn't good at receiver, even when I got here at Eastern. And people doubted it, but I just knew that, God had put his hand on me ever since, what my mom had done. And it was on me to do some special things with my life. And I can't even take credit for any of this stuff. I've been so blessed to be around incredible people, to be given these gifts that I don't really like, this
Mm.
passion and all these things. Like, these are gifts that have been given to me, and so I really just wake up every day, and I know it's my duty to go use them. And also, a really big part of my why is my my biological father. He was a good dude. He just was in the wrong crowd, and he passed away when I was 5 years old. So we moved away. A couple years later, he passed away, and it really gave me a perspective from a young age that, like, every day you wake up is a great day, because there's people
Mm.
that don't get to do that. And how big of a you know not a great person am I if I take this life for granted? And so every single day I'm just so on fire and intense, because we only get one life. And once people really understand that, then all of a sudden time becomes very valuable, and you don't waste it. Because if you love life, well, life is made up of time, so don't waste time. So
Mm. Wow, that's some powerful stuff. And obviously, playing this game of football at the Division 1 level, you're right in the thick of it right now because it's winter conditioning, as we were talking about, before the call. So I assume you've been up since pretty early this morning or sometime this week. You've been putting in the work. You've been tested one way or another, but like within these moments, man, you remember how blessed you are doing what you love, being in a situation where you can better yourself every single day. And that's an amazing approach to have it, because this game, no matter how much you love it, if you're not 100% about it, it will test you, right? It's part of it. That's why it was built for. So I love your approach, man, when it comes to that. Really cool stuff, man. All right. So if you could tell us a little bit, obviously you touched on it a little bit, but just growing up in BC, who was young Nolan? Okay, if you kind of look back, what type of kid was he, man? Did he love other sports growing up? What was he up to?
yeah, I got put into football at a very young age. So my dad, he played football, and so my mom put me in when I was 5 years old. I played tackle when I was 5 years old. I know there's some leagues that don't even exist when you're that young, but I got thrown
Yeah.
into it really early, and I wasn't the best. I played up a lot, so I would get just thrown in the mix with these bigger dudes, and I enjoyed it. I did it, and then I played a ton of other sports all growing up. Like, there was a year in 8th grade where I was on the golf team, the volleyball team, the rugby team, the football team. I was on two football teams because I would go to one practice with the high school, and then I'd go play with the community team. So I was all
Mm.
over. But like, it was cool, but I never really took it seriously. And I don't know. I had a belief in myself, but I just would get so discouraged, and I had this other voice inside, like we all have inside of us, right? That, like, we'd watch NFL games, and I wanted that, but also it's like I didn't really believe that I could or understand that. And we would go to Team BC tryouts. I would get cut. So, like, it wasn't really great for me in football. But then, I don't know. My stepdad was like an angel in my life, man, and exactly what I needed. And he had a work ethic that still, like, wakes up at 4 or 5 in the morning, goes, works out, has an incredibly successful business. And I just started to see that, like, when you put in work and work on
Mm.
yourself, like, that's what it's all about. Like, and you can really grow yourself and surpass so many people, because so many people don't play the marathon of life. They don't understand that you are the most important project that you need to work on, period. And so, really a huge shift for me happened my freshman year, when I remember, like, I had scored a couple touchdowns. I really showed something in that game. But after the game, I just thought, I'm like, man, I just don't want to be good anymore. Like, I go to high school, or like I go to class, and then I just, like, like, go home, or like I play video games. I'm like, I just don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be average or just good. Like, I want to be great.
Mm.
And so, I watched the Rocky movies, and I tell the story a lot, but I watched the Rocky movies for the first time. I really sat down and watched them. And that first scene, man, 4 a.m. waking up dead silent, and he's huffing and puffing. First little workout scene. It's not glorious at all. That's what really resonated with me out of that whole
Mhm.
movie, that first movie. And so I came back home and it changed my life. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start waking up early. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to work on myself. And I started working out 2 or 3 times a day, just jumped right into it. And it really showed me that change happens in a moment and
Yeah.
it's never too late. And that
Wow.
change is never a matter of ability, it's always a matter of motivation. So
Mm.
that was a huge catalyst for me. And then I just became super obsessive. So to answer your question, I was a very normal kid. And then freshman year, I decided I wanted to chase greatness, and I committed my whole soul to this game and my personal growth.
Committed your whole soul to this game and your personal growth. I listen to words very carefully, right? And I don't think you said those words by accident. One, you talked about commitment, and two, you didn't say like what I love. You said my soul. It means like everything, right? And when I listen to your story, what I find is interesting also is that I think, and I love your opinion on this, having a vision is such a powerful thing, and it's something that a lot of people take for granted. They focus on the how too much sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you have a strong vision, it can be more powerful than even knowing how. It's got that thing that it ignites everything. And you had people around you that you looked at, and it made it real just by looking at them, just through
Mm-hmm.
exposure. You probably never did it, but you were exposed to certain things that kind of open your mind. So, just if you could talk to us about whether it's football, life, anything people are trying to accomplish, just the important thing of exposing yourself to people who think differently, who talk differently, who approach things differently, and how much of an impact it can have on you.
Oh man, you're gonna get me going here. Like, first of all, what you said there, like, it's so true. It says it in the Bible, and whether you believe in the universe, God, it says in the Bible, without a vision, the people perish. And that's the issue I see with a ton of kids today is they're not lazy. They just don't have a compelling future. They don't have something they're throwing
Mm,
out a year,
mm,
5 year, 10 years into the future. Everyone is so moment to moment, this day, this week, this month, even this year. Like whenever I'm embarking on a new journey. So my first journey would have been in high school, right? I viewed it as a 4 or 5 year process. I'm looking to become is the key word. I'm not looking to get stars. I'm not looking to,
mm.
get all these followers. I'm looking to become the best person I can be and be just a freak show my senior year. It was the exact same way that I thought when I got here to Eastern Washington University. Now, when you talk about surrounding yourself with people, that is I would say it's the second most important thing. The first
Mm,
most important thing to me is committing to living in a beautiful state, like we talked about, like being grateful and living in a peak state, right? Like we all have different states, and the way we get to those is by using our physiology, our body, focusing on certain things, asking ourselves certain questions, right? There's a million things that we could focus on, but a lot of people focus on what they don't have, what they
yeah.
don't want, right? All those things. So controlling your focus and then the meaning that you take from things and the language that you ascribe to these different things. So that's what I would say the number one most important thing, but easily right up there is your peer group, man. Like you're saying.
Mm,
And when I say peer group, it's the people that you care what they think about you. And so you don't want to lose their respect for you, right? And so what you do is then
yeah.
influenced by what they think of you. And we are creatures of culture. People might say, oh, no, no, no. But go look at the 5 people you hang around and notice how you are just a direct reflection of those
Mm,
people. And look who you like, who do you, gravitate towards? And just notice that. Like, and if you can change that, you hang around different people, you'll have different thoughts, and therefore you'll take different actions, right? And then you'll have a whole different destiny to your whole life because our decisions are ultimately what shapes our destiny. And so that's what I would say about that. Like that is the number one thing that's been I can attribute to my success is I've gotten incredible mentors. I constantly look for rooms to get in where I'm drowning. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I don't want to be the fastest. I don't want to be the strongest. I want to get around dudes that I'm struggling to keep up with because that
mm,
will make me, right? Become is the key word. Become who, my ultimate self or, you know, reach my potential, which I think when people see the word limitless, they think like, oh, well, like you can't be like Superman. Like, yeah, of course. But when I say limitless, we are all limitless. And when I say that, it means that we don't even comprehend how vast our potential is. We're sitting on a massive bed of untapped potential. So, like I said, that question, it got me really going, but I'm really passionate about that, man. And like, if there's one thing that anyone takes away from this, it's upgrade who you're hanging around, period.
Mm, wow. Okay, so you were exposed to this at a young age. You committed to this as a young age, starting to get your scars, starting to get your reps. Okay, when did it become real? Now, when it was about okay, we talked about that vision. From that vision, you start to set a direction, right? A direction for what's next. That direction starts to shape into, hey, maybe I want to go play at the next level. I'm a Canadian kid from BC. What does that look like for me? You know, is it in BC? Is it somewhere else? What was that next stage and how did it happen for you?
Yeah, so this is another great question. So this goes off of the Rocky story. So I came back, started working out, but I wasn't really clear on what exactly I wanted. I just knew that I was done, like instant gratification was gone. I was ready to put in the work and feel great about myself and really look in the mirror and be proud of who I was. And so I just, went about my day, started drinking a ton of water, like all those little things that people are like, oh, that's like stupid. But it's like, no, I just like upgraded my life. And I don't believe in New Year's resolutions, but that year, like I had a different mindset. I believe it was like 2018, 2017, one of those years. And that's really what's the new year, new me. And I never changed. I never went back. And that's kind of just who I am too. Like I say I do what I say I'm going to do. But like you're saying, there was a moment, man. I was in this computer lab in middle school. I'm sitting in the corner of this computer lab. And this is freshman year because the way it works here, it's 7, 8, 9, and then 10, 11, 12. So we don't get to go 9 to 12 in high school, even though I'm playing on the high school team. But I'm sitting in the corner of this computer lab in one of those like gray little beanbag chairs. And I'm on my phone on Instagram. And this is why I honestly think social media can be such a great tool. Is I'm looking and I see this dude, his name's Stuart Head, and he had
Okay.
just committed to Stanford. And I was like, okay, like it hit me in my core, my soul. Like you talk about soul, it hit me. And that's when I was like, that's what I want. That's what I'm being called to do. And so Stanford became my dream school. It didn't end up getting to Stanford, but that was a cool one. Like I ended up getting mail from them later. But man, that's really the moment that I saw him on there. And then there was another guy named Chase Coda. And I'm going to tell you this quick story. Chase Coda, I found Stuart Head. He was cool. I wanted to go to Stanford, but there's another guy, and he looked just like me, like the way his hair cut and, like a 6'2" guy, longer receiver, blow the top off. He was from Oregon, and he just had committed to UCLA. And
Mm,
so I saw that and ended up getting recruited by Washington State. So he's at UCLA
mm,
now. This is later in my high school career. And I go to a Washington State game, unofficial visit. Boom, they're playing UCLA. I'm like, whoa, like I'm going to
mm,
get to see this dude that a couple years ago I threw this vision out into the future. And I see him and he's right there and he's warming up and he plays. He balled out. It was probably one of his best games at UCLA. Touchdown, 2-point conversion, mossed the dude, like just had a great
mm,
game. I DM'd him after. I'm like, yo, like I appreciate you inspiring me, changing my life. Like you are the one that really, like you and that guy, Stuart Head, really changed the way I looked at things. And he said, yeah, I appreciate you. Right. He was super cool. And then I was like, I'm going to see you again. Like, I don't know when, but I'm going to see you.
mm,
And then fast forward 3 years later, I'm here at Eastern Washington and we're about to play Oregon the next year.
mm.
And I see someone hits the portal. It's Chase Coda. Boom, going to Oregon. So I get a
Wow.
chill down my spine. I'm like, we're playing Chase Coda next year. So we get to Oregon. I'll fast forward, and I'm on the punt team. I'm on every special teams here. That's kind of my little shtick, right? Special teams guy. And I'm lining up. I mean, we got like, Justin Flo and Noah
Mm,
Sewell out there. So I'm focused on other things. I'm like, hey, we got to get this protection right. I'm kind of the one that calls everything on the punt team. Snap the ball. I block my guy. Start covering down. And I'm coming around the corner. I don't really see the returner. And then he pops around the side. Boom. It's Chase Coda. And he's got the
mm.
ball in his hands. And dude, like I've only had a couple moments like this, but like it literally was like time froze. And I'm like, holy crap. And boom, I go and I tackle him. And I'm like standing right there. I'm like, that really just happened, man. Like from a corner of a computer lab in ninth grade. This is like 6, 7 years in the making, man. Looking on Instagram, these like pixels on my phone, it wasn't even real. And now I'm here tackling this guy. And so I tell that story. That was a huge, huge catalyst seeing those guys on Instagram and then, make it happen. That's what, I made it happen. And it was so many things outside of myself, but I just was so fortunate. So that's a little cool story for you there about how it all got started.
Really cool, man. And again, a lot of little takeaways into what you said. You know that I don't know if people are truly catching them and grasping them, but you said 7 years in the making, right? 5, 7 years in the making. So it didn't happen overnight, and that's just the power of committing to the little things, one way or another. Another thing also, in pure humility, right? Pure humility. I find sometimes, man, we have this thing called ego, athletes or people, and everyone has it, especially men. I'll say that, right? So just taking the time to extend to somebody else in pure appreciation, telling them how much of an impact they had on your journey and how much they're inspiring you, right? You're doing that from the bottom and the goodness of your heart. A lot of people actually want to help you. A lot of people actually want to give it back, and that's kind of exactly what happened. And it's like it ignited a fire that definitely helps you and led you to where you are today. So there's these little things, man, that one, you got to commit, but two, you got to take action. You got to be active. You got to make it happen,
Yeah.
as you said. So I love it because it ties into everything else. Okay, so all this story, you definitely leave from BC, end up at Eastern Washington in Cheney or Cheney. Is that
Yeah,
how
Chini. Yeah, you said
Cheney,
it right the first
Washington?
time. Good stuff.
Okay, Cheney, Washington. Actually, one funny thing. I was talking last week to Ty Benefield. He's also from the BC area. He plays at Boise State on that blue field. How is it playing on that red field? I played at UNC Northern Colorado, so I'm familiar with it. We didn't have a lot of good times over there. But if you could tell us about just your experience being on that red field, what is it, man, being a Eastern Washington Eagle on a
Yeah.
game day?
When I first got here, and right now, obviously, like the past couple years have been a little tough, and we're working to get it back to where it was before. But when I got here, like, oh my goodness, the belief, the culture, and like I said,
Mm,
it's still there. We're very strong in rebuilding that, and we should have won way more games than we did last year. A lot of close games. But when I first got here, it was wow. We
mm,
had a board in the locker room, and it was like 50-0 since 2010 when we win the
mm.
turnover battle.
Yeah.
And so it didn't matter. It didn't matter what the score was. If we would get more turnovers, we'd take the ball away and protect the ball, we were going to win the game. And I've never felt a
Mm,
belief like that ever in my life. And there is secret sauce here. I will tell you that, especially in this receiver room. Well, I mean, we had guys like Cooper Cup come through, Kendrick Bourne, Shaq Hill, he was with the Bucks for a little bit, Simba Webster, he's playing on the Bears right now. I could go on and on. And the quarterbacks, Bo Levi Mitchell, Vernon Adams, Matt
mm,
Nichols. I mean, we basically run the CFL from a quarterback standpoint from the guys that have come up from Eastern Washington. And so the red is extremely special. We touch it whenever we go in the locker room. We touch it whenever we come out. It's a huge deal here to protect the red. When I first got here, we had like an 18-0 win streak, which Montana
mm.
State broke our home win streak record this
Yeah.
past year. But we would win at home. Like if we were playing on the red, like good luck. And so it's meant a lot. And the alumni that's here, it's been incredible connecting with all the pro guys. And there's really not much here in Cheney except for ball and books. And you can even see like this place looks like a freaking bomb shelter, but we don't care.
Mm,
Like this is the Humble Factory, and our 45s weigh the same as Oregon's, weigh the same as Weber State's, but they weigh the same as everyone's. And so for us, it's how we use all the things that we have, and we do the most with the least. And so that's been our motto, and it's meant a lot to play here, and it was a big deal that I was going to come back, and I really wanted to continue to increase the legacy of this room and pass it down to these next generations, because we just have continued to have guys that go to the next level, and the standard in this room is to be the best in the nation, which is, we don't say that lightly, and it's very intense, and it's not for everybody, but it's been huge. It's permeated my whole life, and it's exactly what I wanted. Like I had some bigger offers coming out of high school, but I'm glad that I came here because this pushed me to become, like we keep coming back to that word, to become the best I could be. So
mm. Really cool. Really cool. And as you enter a new culture, let's say coming in as a freshman, uh, your eyes are open and you're trying to absorb as much as possible, right? You're definitely there because one way or another, their values fit your values, their vision fit
Mm-hmm.
your values, but your vision, but you're still trying to absorb. Now that you're a junior, you know, and you've been in this culture, and you talked about an important word, man. You talked about legacy, right? Legacy. When it's all said and done, within and far beyond this game, if there's one thing that you would want your legacy to be about at Eastern Washington from what you left, the type of impact you made, what would that be? And of course, there's a lot of important things, right? But if there was one that's much more important than anything else for you, what would that be?
Yeah, you're gonna get me going again. Another just great question. When I first
That's
came
what
in
I'm
my
here for,
freshman year,
man.
yeah, absolutely right. You're doing a great job, man. I love it. When I first came in here, my receiver coach was Coach Pat McCann, and he changed my life. He's an OC at Fresno State now, so I only had him for a year. I mean, the good ones always, elevate a little bit. So uh, he was incredible, and he said, "Come up with 3 words that you want to be defined as." And the 3 words I came up were obsessive, urgent, and reliable. And then there was another 3 words, and it was more a little bit different, but I really wanted to be remembered as a crazy MFer, man. Like
Mm,
someone that like the hardest worker to ever come through here, ever. And then it was to be humble, be a learner, like we talked about. Like I always wanted to be open to learning, have a growth mindset through it all, and then I wanted to be a great teammate and a leader. And so that's really what I came in with, and I read those still to this day every single night. And then 3 things for me to stay away from were bloodsuckers, which to me at the time it's like I don't want to be around people that are going to drain energy, drain my focus, drain my vision. I want people that are actually going to celebrate my victories, that are close to me. No procrastinating. Like I got to accomplish my must dos, and then I got to continue to stay committed. And so that just comes to my mind is that was a really good tool for me. But as I've really gotten older in my career here, I had a really tough year, my redshirt freshman year. I had a great off season, but we had 4 all-conference guys in the room and really like 3 all-American type guys.
mm,
It was a crazy room, and so I didn't get much playing time. And
mm,
I was okay my freshman year redshirting because I'm like, Coop redshirted, it's all good. And then it was like I'm getting it through a couple games of redshirt freshman year, and I got like 2 catches. I'm like, okay, well, I'm really behind Coop's records now because like I had all the ambitions in the world, man, but like I backed it up with action. And I was like, okay, there's really probably I'm not gonna reach these records because like with him, he was getting like 1,500 a year, like that, like he
yeah,
was a dude, man.
yeah.
And no one will probably ever do what he did again. It's crazy what he did. It absolutely crazy when you look at the numbers of it for 4 years straight. But I looked at the trophy case, man. I'm just sitting there, and I went into Coach Pat's office, and I'm like, man, I feel like I failed. And he was like, what are you talking about? Like, this is your story. This isn't. No
Mm,
one wants to see Cooper Kupp redo.
mm,
Like they want to see Nolan Ulm first take. And then I really started looking at these trophies, and I even started thinking about it. I'm like, man, like Julian Edelman won the Super Bowl MVP how many years ago? Nobody talks about that anymore. Like
yep.
all this stuff is inherently meaningless. Wins and losses are meaningless. And I know this might shatter some people's view, but like the reality is all that matters, man, is who we become and the people that we impact. Because those ripple effects go way down the line. And I'll tell another little story, man. I'm at my great grandmother's house. She's like 102 or something like that, and she
Mm,
has pictures of herself and then her husband, and then just like the whole family tree going down. And
mm,
I thought about it, and I was like, if I go and I meet, Grandma Wood, that's her name. If I go and meet Grandma Wood when she's 20, and I use these things that I have with Tony Robbins, these different resources to impact quality people's lives, which is what I'm really really passionate about, and I change her life. How does that impact the whole tree?
yeah,
And so
yeah.
so from there, man, like that was a really big experience for me. It was like it really freed me to be like, I still really care, and I still really want to go to the NFL, and I still really want to win games and get Eastern to back to where it needs to be. But at the end of the day, it's all meaningless, man, and nobody will care. Nobody will care about Cooper Kupp in 100 years. People won't know
Mm,
because there was guys that were crazy, but we don't talk about them anymore. And so I think that's where I really came back to me. What I really want to be remembered for is I don't want to be remembered at all, to be honest with you. I want to
mm,
impact people, and I want to change lives. And I hope that I create a culture that lives on without my name, without my being. and that to me will be more fulfilling than anything else. But I used to be like, everyone's so wrapped up in the trophy case, and there's still a part of me that wants that, but I know that it won't
Yep.
last, you know. So
Wow. Um, the obsessed get fired up with the obsessed, just by talking about other people who talking with other people who get it definitely fuels something, right? And what I love about what you said also, and what I love about this game in general, and I'm sure you understand the same thing about this game, is that this game doesn't need us. Like I've been done playing football for 10 years. You know nothing about me. And the game goes on, right? The
right.
game goes on with or without us. It's actually a blessing and a great opportunity to contribute to it, to leave something to it, to make it better. But you talked about Eastern Washington, about being a humble factory. That's how you called it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's
Yep.
that same mindset, is that, hey, your job is to make this whole thing better and to maximize it while you're there, create something for yourself, create something for others, right? So it leads me to my next question, especially when we think about football players listening to what you're saying, being fired up, wanting to be where you're at, wanting to go to the NFL, go to the CFL, go to the next level. And I want to go back to that word, man, humility, right? Humility, but fiery humility at the same time. What is it that they don't know at this point, in their journey, that they should know to unlock whatever potential or good things they have going on, to truly unlock it? What is it that they don't know that they should know at this point, in your opinion?
Mm. Wow. I would say they need to know, this is going to sound crazy, but to really wrap their heads around this, you don't know what you don't know. And
Yeah.
so really, really taking a step back and being like, I need to figure out first, I need to know that I don't know. And so you need to go
Mm,
search out people, you need to go search out mentors, and you need to realize, like, if you really go and take a journey on your growth as a player, let's just talk as a player, right? You find out the more you know, the less you know. There is so much to this game. There's so many different things. And I just think so many dudes, it's crazy that they think that they know, but there's other people ahead of them that have been reading a book a week, a book a week, talking
yeah.
to a incredible person every other day, learning from them, having mentors, and they think that they know more than them, or they think they shouldn't listen. Like, talk about fixed mindset, man. Like, shut your mouth. You got one mouth and 2 ears. Like,
Yeah.
listen, listen.
Yeah.
And that's what I would say, man. Like, the like growth mindset, like, look into what it really means to have a growth mindset. If you understand that, that's the foundation of all this stuff. Because if you don't believe that your abilities can be developed, and you don't embrace difficulties, you don't persist in the face of setbacks, you don't see effort as the path to mastery, you get threatened by other success instead of being inspired by it and taking lessons from it.
Mm,
Like, there's a whole categorization you could say, see, it's like in my nervous system because I read it every morning, because that's a foundation. So I would say, like, just go look up what it means to have a growth mindset. Notice what parts of your life do you have a fixed mindset, where you think that your intelligence or your abilities are fixed, or
mm,
where you see, like, that you should, like, some people think it should be effortless, right? Like,
yeah.
no, 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 no. Like, that's you just trying to, like, show that it's your abilities, as opposed to getting all your sense of self from your ability to learn. Because
Mm,
if you put your identity in being able to learn and be someone that grows, that identity is anti-fragile. And when I say anti-fragile, that means the more you break it down, the stronger it gets. The more you
mm,
don't know, the more you admit that you failed, the more you admit that you screwed up, the more you say, oh, I didn't know that. The stronger that identity gets, and you get better and better and better, because you're finding out what you don't know, right? So you can see
mm.
how it all feeds into itself, but people don't understand that. They want to look cool, they want to look smart. Meanwhile, this other person doesn't care about that. They just want to grow, and they're years ahead of you because they're not getting in their own way. So you got to get out of your own way first. That's what I really would say to them.
Wow. Wow. Powerful, powerful, powerful stuff, man. And I have the flashbacks of winter conditioning, always training camp. When I think about that, I always think about what you just said, of the more you break down something, the more it gets stronger.
Mm.
If it's meant to be
Mm-hmm.
there, if it gets it, because that's the goal, right? Every day you're being put in situations to break you down, but really you come out of that room stronger
Yep.
mentally, physically, as a player, as a person, everything, right? So really, really cool, man. Really cool. I'm curious to know, man, right now, what does a typical day look like? Let's say just typical day look like in the off season.
Yeah, I'll break it down really quick for you because
Mm,
I'm pretty dialed in on it. So 5:30 I'll wake up right now. It's a little bit of a later wake up. So 5:30 I'll wake up. I got a whole morning routine that I go through. It takes me about 30 minutes. Then I will start to make some of my food, my breakfast, and then I'll do some heart coherence training. So it's brain and heart coherence. It's a whole thing that guys could look into. Then I do a
mm,
visualization practice and really work on my sensory acuity. Once I'm done with that, I head into the facilities for about 7. So that's a whole morning thing, about an hour and a half. Head in for 7. We get catches in. We'll start with tennis balls. We have a
mm,
whole process with that where we'll close one eye, start with one eye, really catch with our eyes first, then catch tennis balls to work on tight hands. Then we'll get on the jugs. Then we'll go into our field house. So this is all about an hour and a bit, and we'll do some drills with there too, some situation specific stuff when it comes to receiver
mm,
play. We watch film of everything that we do. We record all of it, and so our whole careers we've breaking down like all these different situations where we didn't do what we were supposed to do, or we quote unquote failed, right? Whatever failure really is, which it isn't really real, but we could get into that. But we look at these things and then it gives us the ability to go create drills and work on these things. And next time we go get in that situation, we'll dominate it. So that's our field house session. We're done around like 8:30. Then I'll come in at some point there. I got a little bit of time where I post on my social media. I've been pretty active on there, but that's my biggest way to impact people. And that changed my life. I met with this guy named Dan Martell, and he really told me, he's like, if you really want to impact people, use social media more. And so that's what I'm doing it. And like I said, I'm using it. It's not using me. So that's a big key.
mm.
Then from there, I go into the training room in there for about an hour, and I'm working on all these different things. I've grinded myself down quite a bit in my career, as you could probably tell. Like I'm a lot smarter now with how I work. I was not early in my career. So I go in the training room, and then once I'm done with that, I'll go get a little snack. I got class for an hour after that. I come back. I will read a book that I've reread before. So this is a rereader, and there's fundamental books of life that just reading it once is enough. And even from the get-go, I don't read, I study. So that's a really key distinction. So I study, I'll do that for like 15 minutes right before I go into the weight room. I'll plan out our pre-work and our post-work. So we go in 30 minutes early before the lift. We'll get some warm-up stuff in. Then we have our lift, which is like an hour and a half, super quality work. There's a speed session there. There's a lift session in there. As soon as that's done, then we stay in the weight room for another 30 minutes, and it's all this extra work that I've accumulated from the study that I've done, whether that be athletic truth group, whether that be just different movement things, different things that I'm looking to improve on that I created based on my year analysis and talking to different coaches and what I need to improve on. So as soon as I'm done with that, then we'll go back. I'll watch some film while I wait. There's another lift group that goes in after us, and my quarterback's in there. So I'll watch film with my other receiver buddy. We'll wait once his lift is done, then we go throw with our quarterback. So right now we're just topping stuff off super light as you want to progress. I don't want to just get
Yeah.
right into 18-yard comebacks, right? So we're just topping stuff off and working run after catch stuff. As soon as that's done, every other day I'll hit the sauna and we'll stretch after that. So it's like a 40-minute routine I got there. We'll also get on the foam roller, make sure our tissue is good. That's something that I switched up recently because we are more track athletes, and so we need to keep our tissue good. So as many full body massages as we can get, which is what a foam rolling session is, the better. And so I used to think that foam rolling is stupid, but
Mm,
I actually think it's really good
yeah.
for our position at least. Then as soon as that's done, then from there it kind of depends, but I'll usually go home around then, and then I work on all the different businesses and different things that I got going, like the camp. We got this app that we have some athletes on, and so just making sure everything's good and really growing. And then I'll read when I get home a new book for 30 minutes. Like I said, study, not read, but I just say read because obviously that's what the terms that everyone is familiar with. And then yeah, just working on projects that whole night. And then I got a bunch of online classes that I got to knock out too. So
Mm.
I find a way to get that in, but I'm just super passionate with the stuff that I'm doing outside of school, and my degree, I won't really need it for what I want to do. So, and I'm already basically done with it now. I'm just getting some electives to graduate this winter quarter. So
You're
then
in
after all that,
management, I think, right? Management?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
business management. Yep. So after all that, then, uh, yeah, like later in that night, me and my girlfriend, she'll come back and she plays basketball here, and we'll read some relationship book or something like that. We'll work on our relationship because that is so key. I think a lot of people overlook that. They work on themselves, but they don't work on like the most important relationships in their life. And that's gonna be the person that like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so we
Yeah.
work on our relationship. And then in bed, I've really pushed for 9 o'clock. I want to get 8 hours in bed, but sometimes I'm
Mm,
not great with that because I'm so, you can tell, like I'm just all over the place. I'm like a hungry dog in the back of
yeah.
a meat truck with my growth. But yeah, that's a day.
Love it, man. I have two more questions for you. Okay. Um, excuse me, the flu hit me pretty hard, man,
Yeah, you're all
last
good.
week, but I'm here. I'm here, All right. Let's talk about your projects a little bit. I know you got the camp going on, right? I know you got the podcast going on, all under the same umbrella. We talked about making things happen. What does that mean? If you could talk to us a little bit about that, man. What's your mission with that? How important is it to you? What do you got going on there?
Yeah, the camp is huge. Like my goal with that is to make it the best football camp in the entire world. And so we've got uh, a couple NFL guys locked in right now. But like, what I really want to do with that is, it's a nonprofit camp. So all the proceeds go to a single mother charity. Like
Mm,
obviously from my story, you now know how passionate I am
yeah,
about helping single mothers. And so
yeah.
we do that. And my goal with that is to, last year it was a lot more centered on me, but I want to step out of the limelight a little bit. And it's the Make It Happen football camp. And the reason it's that and not the Nolan Ulm camp or the Javon Holland camp or, the Tavius Robinson camp, because he'll be there. I really want all these, all the Canadian ballers, D1, NFL, former CFL, to come together to give back to the community and make a way bigger impact than all of us could do on our own with our own camps. And so I want people to come from all over. I want it to be a pure football environment. We want it to be about them developing. We want them to have
Mm,
growth mindset. We want them to fail. We want them to screw up. We want them to learn. We don't want it to be about stars. We don't want it to be a recruiting piece. Like obviously there's going to be people and coaches there that have connections, but that's not the
yeah,
focus. And so I think there's a huge space for that that's missing nowadays. And I also don't think that there's many camps that bring together a huge collective group of guys that have made it out from a lot of these kids where they're looking to come from. And so it's really for the culture. And just, this will be something that will go as long as I'm alive. And getting that up and running and having systems. So eventually it can run a lot like on its own without me. But obviously right now we are in the weeds of it and it's a grind. As you probably know, if you've been a part of one of those events like that, right? There's a lot of moving parts. And so that's
yeah.
one. The app, that I just want to give athletes all these resources that I had, that I know a lot of them aren't going to do the work that I did to find them, or they're not going to be able to have the gift of having mentors that I had and connections that I had to be able to help them to that point. There's a ton of kids like that. And so that's what that is.
Mm,
Um, and just, I want it to be an all-in-one, like one-stop shop for everything going to the next level in football. So we have a performance profile, and every single thing that I've encompassed, I've had to improve on every part of myself as an athlete. We're putting that in there. We're building it out with videos, with an app, and it's been really good. And then other than that, man, like, yeah, like I said, just like working on myself. And then I got some courses that I'm doing. So I just finished one with Tony Robbins. So I'm a certified strategic interventionist, life coach, human needs psychologist with him. And so I got a scholarship last summer to do that with them. And then I'm working on the next round of
mm,
certifications with them. But certifications are cool. But to me, it's really all about having a PhD in results. And so I don't really care like what, it's just to show people that I have them. But to me, like, I want people to be able to look at the work that we do, that I
yeah.
do, and that to be where they get the the credibility from. So
Really cool, man. And excuse me again. Here's my last question for you, Nolan. Uh, obviously, man, this is super inspiring. I'm fired up for you. I'm fired up talking to you. This was exactly the mission because I know people will listen to this. Number one, get inspired, but number two, take actionable things. Okay,
yeah.
actionable things from people who really care and from people who've done it, right? And who look to this game as the tool that it is, this beautiful thing that it is, but so much more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm curious to know if there's anybody else that you would like to see on the podcast who has a great story, who wants to make an impact, or that you would just like to give a shout out to. Who would that be and why? Yeah.
Oh man, so many people. It's cool, yeah, because my podcast has been super cool. I've been able to get some, close some loops on guys that I looked up to a ton or had interactions with. One that I
Mm,
just had, man, that they say never meet your heroes because they'll let you down. Oh my goodness, it was the complete opposite of this. I met, Manny Arsenault, got him on the podcast, and it,
He's from Alcorn State University, right? Down
yeah,
in
he,
Mississippi.
yep, yep,
He played with my brother at Alcorn State, actually, down in
really,
Mississippi. Yeah, so small
wow,
world. Yeah,
that is a small world, man.
yeah.
You got to get him on here though. Like he's a pro's pro, and he really is someone that it made me really gravitate towards him, like his mindset and just how he. Oh man, I loved it, and so that's one person that in a lot of senses, I really look up to him. A 15-year vet, like you got to be a dog to be able to do that, and just the way he approaches his life, I love it so much. That's someone. My big brother Jared Zaleski, he's really my biggest mentor that took me under his wing. He played with the Alouettes for a couple years, and he's from Kelowna as well. And
Mm,
he changed my life, man. Like all the high school years, like he was my mentor. Like I said, Pat McCann, like really pushed me in other areas that I hadn't been pushed, receiver play, and then just same thing. Like he just develops as a human, and that's what I really think is the coolest thing about it. Some other people, Taylor Loeffler, he played at Boise State from KSS, my high school. That was a guy I
mm,
saw his name in the trophy case every morning, wanted to replace him,
mm,
and I told him that. But he was a CFL All Star, like another dude.
mm.
Um, some other people, man. Like I just think when you can find someone that is a baller and is a incredible human too, it's awesome because I mean,
Yeah,
you've been around it too. Not everyone that is really good at football is really good at life, and
yeah,
it's unfortunate to see because I really think the kids deserve better. The athletes that are looking up to people deserve better because the reality is a lot of the kids when they meet some of these guys, they are going to be disappointed and let down. But the people that I've looked up to, I've been super lucky to have just great people like even Cooper Cup, like awesome dude, incredible family life, like and then just he is a pro's pro. And I just keep
mm,
saying that over and over again. I just think there's guys that make plays and that's awesome, but I'm into people that are pros and approach everything. They really see it as that everything you do is important and
yeah.
that's really what I would say. There's so many other names I could put on there. Those are just ones that are kind of coming to the top of my head that really had a huge impact on my life.
Mm. Really cool. Where can people follow you, Nolan?
Yeah, I'm all over the place, man. The best one is Instagram. I'm all over there with the stories and everything. So Nolan Ulm, just my name. I got a YouTube channel too, Nolan Ulm. We're putting some stuff out there for athletes. I just went through the like what I eat in a day. I'm floating somewhere
Mm,
around 4 to 7% body fat through a calendar year. So I really wanted to give people the tools to see like what I eat to get those results from being, I was
mm.
super small. I gained a ton of weight. That's another thing. And then the podcast, the Make It Happen podcast. Anywhere that you find podcasts on there, and it's very similar to what you're doing. And this is why I love the work that you're doing. I want to help athletes, coaches, leaders, and give them the tools and just have great conversations with great people and break down success and share stories from people that probably won't share their stories on other platforms. So yeah, that's where they can check me out.
Perfect. So this is what I got for today. I have to be honest, man. I was excited about getting on this call. I'm grateful just for you to take your time, within your busy schedule. I know what it is just to be there. Number one, wanted to exchange a good, honest, authentic conversation, but looking to improve the journey and the life of somebody else within this game and beyond it. It means a lot. It says a lot about you, but I find that I come out of this conversation feeling like I've learned things about you that from afar it's difficult to see, right? When you get the essence of somebody and how fired up they are and connect that with their story, you see where they're at, but you also get a glimpse of where they're going. And I see only good things for you, man. And if they're good for you, I know they're going to be good for somebody else. So, man, keep doing what you do, man. It's been a true pleasure, Nolan.
Yeah, it was awesome. I really enjoyed this. Your questions were incredible, and I love what you're doing. Thanks for reaching out. I'm glad that we could make this happen.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, guys, this is it, man. Another episode of Champion Beyond the Huddle. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you learned something, if you got inspired, man, if it helped you out in your journey within this game, beyond it, make sure you do that. All right. So, see you guys next time. Take care.